In today's video, I'm going to be sharing 8 air travel tips that you are going to want to know before your next flight. Being prepared for your flight can go a long way in making your travel day run a lot smoother and a lot less stressful. If you can even execute on a few of these 8 items or these 8 tips, I can promise you you're going to be way more prepared for your next flight. Make sure you stick around to the end of the video, as I'm going to be sharing a little secret or a little tip to not only make your travel day a lot more comfortable, but you're probably gonna brighten somebody's day in the process. Let's get this video started. Number 1, and that is timely check-in. Whether you knew it or not, most airlines allow you to check into your flight for up to 24 hours in advance. Some even a little bit longer, so make sure you double check. But there's a lot of benefits to early check-in. The first one being is you're gonna get better seat selection. For those of you that do not pay for your seats ahead of time, usually the seats are assigned by first come, first served basis. So if you check in early, there's a better chance that you're gonna get either seated together with your family or group, or you're just gonna have a better seat selection in general, whether you prefer an aisle seat or a window seat. Hopefully you don't prefer a middle seat. But anyway, in general, your seat selection is going to be better. The second reason why early check-in can be beneficial is that you're going to solidify your spot on the plane. Believe it or not, oftentimes airlines will overbook flights with the assumption that some people are not going to show up. So if you get that early check-in and you get your seat on the plane, you don't have to stress about an overbooked flight. And then the last major reason is it's just going to save you some time at the airport, especially if you're running behind. And keep in mind, if you are running super behind getting to the airport, oftentimes airlines will close the check-in desk an hour to 90 minutes before the flight leaves. And if you're not checked in, you might have a little bit of a harder time acquiring that boarding pass. So in general, early check-in is nice. And number 2 is layers. And this is a concept I've talked about in quite a few of my other videos, being that I think it's really important when you're traveling to make sure that you're dressed appropriately. And dressing in layers is one way to make yourself a lot more comfortable. If you're unfamiliar with this concept, I would suggest getting familiar with it before your next flight, being that airports range in temperature a lot. Some are cold, some are hot. In general, airplanes are traditionally cold, but you want to have the flexibility to either add additional layers or take off layers to regulate that temperature. There's nothing worse than being freezing cold on a plane or super, super hot in an airport. So, just a second, look at this. Sorry, that turkey was distracting me. There's a turkey right outside my window. Anyway, dressing in layers can be really, really important to making sure that you stay comfortable while traveling. Number 3, early is better. And this is a little bit of a controversial topic, I think, being that everyone has a little bit different comfort level. For Meg and I personally, we always abide by the rule of 2 hours before a domestic flight and 3 hours before an international flight. For us, we do not like to stress when it comes to timing. We would love to just get to the airport, relax, whether it's going to a lounge or just grabbing a seat and having a snack. We don't like to push the time limit, though I do understand that some people have a little bit smaller window that they're comfortable with, which is fine, but I would in general recommend getting to the airport early. You're not going to do any damage by getting there early, and you might save yourself a lot of stress. Number 4, download the apps. Download the apps. Now, this is something that can be seemingly kind of annoying, being that personally, right now, I have like 10 different airline apps on my phone, and ideally, it's something that you're going to want to download prior to your flight. The airline apps do a great job of updating you on canceled flights, delayed flights. We've found that it is the most updated information. What's also nice about the airline apps that they develop is they make it really easy to find the correct contact if you need to get a hold of somebody. So whether your flight was canceled and you need to rebook, or you just have any issues at all, having that downloaded on your phone for quick access can be really, really helpful in maybe what might be a stressful situation. So I would highly recommend downloading the airline's app that you plan to fly for your next trip prior to getting to the airport. You never know when you might need it. Before we get to the next one, let me know down in the comments things that you do to prepare for your flight. I know I've missed quite a few things, and tons of you that watch our videos fly tons of miles every year and probably have some good expertise when it comes to things to do before boarding your flight. So let me know down in the comments anything that you think that I missed. And that brings us to number 5, which is go to the bathroom before you board the plane. This is really important, and it is a mistake I see made actually quite often. Anytime you use the bathroom during the boarding process or during takeoff, it can really just slow things down as well as make the flight attendant's job a lot more difficult. And for those of you that saw the most recent events on that one Delta flight, you're gonna wanna avoid that at all costs. I get it, emergencies do happen, but if you can, do your best to prepare ahead of time and make sure you get that business done before you get on the plane. Number 6, which is get organized. Now, what I mean by this is you're gonna wanna make sure that you prepare yourself for your time on the plane. It's really hard once you board the plane to get organized. So something I like to do before I start boarding the plane is I like to think about what I'm going to need for my in-flight experience, right? That might be headphones, that might be a snack, it might be a sweatshirt, it might be a neck pillow. Making sure that you have all of that on your person versus in your carry-on or personal item is important. Because as you know, once you board the plane, everything gets kind of cramped. And it can be really difficult to retrieve some of those items once your row is full, especially if you're sitting in a window seat. It can just be a big inconvenience for not only yourself, but those around you if you have to get up and shuffle your stuff all around. So making sure you have those things in your pockets or on your body in some way can make the boarding process a lot more efficient, as well as just make your flying experience a heck of a lot more comfortable if you have those items. Number 7, which is patience. Now, in my opinion, this is a super important one. I maybe even talked about it in a couple of my other videos, but having patience and preparing to be patient for a travel day is key. And one way you can prepare yourself to have patience is doing the other 6 things I've already talked about. If you can do the other 6 things that I've talked about, you're gonna go into your travel day with a lot more understanding and patience. Traveling can be inherently stressful. It can also cause a lot of anxiety. But if you can be patient and smooth throughout your travel day process, it's gonna calm yourself down, but it's also gonna calm everybody else down around you. And that leads us to number 8, which is something that feels so good and is something that Meg and I try to practice on every single flight. And this is not something that you necessarily need to prepare for prior to your flight, but it's just something that you might want to be thinking about. And that is understanding that the job of a flight attendant is probably really hard. And to be honest with you, I don't know this for fact, being that I'm not a flight attendant, as well as I'm not saying that every flight attendant is amazing. But meeting flight attendants with some empathy and understanding the challenges of what they do goes a long way. I know oftentimes when I've been on flights, I've tried to put myself in their shoes, and let me tell you, I couldn't do it. They deal with a lot. And I think having a little bit of empathy for them creates this mutual respect, which in turn, they're a lot nicer to you, and it makes your flying experience a lot better. So I challenge you on your next flight, make small talk with a flight attendant. Try to treat them like people versus just somebody that's serving you. I think it can go a long way in making your experience a lot better, as well as you might make their day in the process. Thanks for watching this video. Hopefully after these 8 tips, you're gonna be way more prepared for your next flight. If you enjoyed this video though, I would highly recommend watching the video we made about mistakes to avoid in the TSA line. It's gonna make your security line process a lot smoother and a lot less stressful. So I'd recommend giving that video a watch. If you enjoyed this one though, please give it a thumbs up, as well as subscribe to our channel for more content like this. We will see you in the next video.